My name's Rachel, and I got saved when I was 12. But prior to that, I was raised Catholic, so I dealt with a lot of religion in my life, and it was very much a ritual, very much, oh, well, we gotta do our, Christian duty for the week and just go to church, and it didn't really mean anything. It was boring, and it just seemed pretty empty to me. And so when my friend invited me to church, I'm like, no, I don't want to go to your church. We were sitting on the bus, going home, and we had these little cards about like that big. And it said, yesterday is gone, tomorrow may never come, now is all you've got. Paradigm, 5:30 to 8:30 or something like that. And she's like, you want to come to my church? I'm like, no, I don't want to go to your church. And she's like, oh, well, we'll have free food. I'm like, okay, I will be there this Wednesday, 5:30. And so my mom pulls up to this church. She dropped me off, and turns out it's like 3 blocks from my house. She dropped me off, and it's like this barn, like a warehouse. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go here. This is kind of weird. And it was an Assemblies of God church. And I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anything about speaking in tongues or anything like that. I just went for the free food. And I go inside and I think, okay, we're gonna have like games or like whatever. It's gonna be like an event. And it was just a regular night, and no one was there at 5:30. It was me and this other girl, and I think her name was like Kayla or something. And it was her first time too, and we were like, I don't want to go in there. And so we kind of went in there and we just kind of sat by ourselves, and then her friend came, and so I was by myself, and it was super awkward, and I had a lot of social anxiety, and so I didn't really know what to do, and I'm just like, I just want to go home. I was really tempted to just like walk home, but there was something inside me later I realized was God that said, no, you need to stay. Your friend, her name is Eve, and she said, she was really excited that you wanted to come. You should stay for her, and then if you never want to come back, you don't ever have to come back. When they had, the free food was a diner, and I didn't want to go over there because, again, with my social anxiety, I didn't know. I'm like, oh, well, maybe if it's not really free, I don't have money, like, just whatever, I don't care now. And she finally got there at like 6:55, like 5 minutes before service was supposed to start at 7. And I didn't know it was going to start that late. The card said 5:30 to 8:30. And so I had been sitting there waiting, and I just hated it. I didn't want to do anything. But I felt like I needed to stay. And so I got my free food because Eve went with me. And that night, I couldn't even tell you what the service was about, but there was just this weird presence there, and there was like this unnatural like lights, like there was lights and stuff in there, but it was like a supernaturally like bright light just shining down. And they did an altar call, and I didn't raise my hands, but I was crying, and I felt like, you need to go up there. And I went up there, and the first thing I said to my friend afterwards was, I'm gonna come back next week. And I came back every week after that for about 7 years. And I knew of God, and I wasn't super close to God for a while because I didn't know what it meant to be discipled. I didn't know what anything like that was. I was just used to, you go to church once a week, and then you do whatever you want, and then every so often you go to confession, because my dad was very staunch Catholic, and I was not allowed to go to the church was Maranatha, the AG church, and I was not allowed to go there on Sundays or anything. I could only go on Wednesday nights. And I went and I hung out with my friends, and I had fun, but I didn't really know what it meant to be a Christian. I didn't read my Bible. I didn't really know what prayer sounded like or what worship meant or anything like that. And we had our own big youth building. There was the diner, and there was like air hockey and ping pong, and there was like basketball hoops and stuff, and it was like our own thing, and it was super cool. And part of my anxiety is I can't handle change well. I've since gotten over that, but at the time, change was very difficult for me. And so as a freshman in high school, they sold the youth building, and they got a new youth pastor whose name was Shane. And I was so tempted not to go back to church. And I loved the church, but I'm like, I can't deal with this, because what they had done was that they had sold the youth building, and they were going to use that money to build a new youth room. And so going to the church, we were just sitting in a little classroom, and we didn't have, the ping pong table was in storage, and they had threw out one of the other games, and like we didn't have basketball, we didn't have a diner or anything like that anymore, because they just simply couldn't afford the building. It wasn't worth the money or anything. But as a freshman, I didn't understand that, and so I'm just like, I don't want to be here, I don't like this. But instead of giving up and just staying home, I knew there was something there, and so I decided I'm gonna make a reason to want to be here. If I'm not gonna come for the games or for the food, then I'm gonna come for something else. And that's when I really got involved, and that's when I started talking to the youth pastor, being like, oh, well, Pastor Nathan, the old youth pastor, used to do this game, or we used to have fun with this, or we would have, this event. And he was brand new. He was going through the ISOM program, Illinois School of Ministry, where it's once a month, and he hadn't been in seminar or anything, and so he was kind of new to it, and so he was like, okay, I'll take all the help I can get type of deal. And then I started really paying attention to his sermons, and I would take notes, and I would ask questions, and I would read my Bible, and I would ask, I was reading this in Leviticus, because, you start in the beginning of the book and read till the end, you don't jump around, so that was new to me as well. I'm like, I don't know what this meant, I don't understand this, I don't know how to pray, can you show me? And I really started getting into worship and things like that, and really drew closer to God and made God the reason I wanted to come. And that's when I got super involved, was as a freshman. And it's just so changed my life in that, because it gave me a reason to want to be alive. I know that sounds really kind of sad, but before it was just kind of day to day going through the motions, and it was just really blah, and life was just blah, and I didn't have a ton of friends. I wasn't really close to my family, but with my church I had something that made me have fun, that made me happy, and it just brightened me up. It just was such a great, it brightened up my life, and it just meant so much to me. And since then I've been called into youth ministry. I was a junior in high school, and I was stressed out about what I wanted to do. All my friends wanted to be doctors and counselors and lawyers and all this stuff, and I didn't know. I had no idea what to do. And one day I just decided to stop worrying about it. I'm like, God, I give my life to you. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. And God said, you're going to be a youth pastor. And then I'm like, okay, I'll be a youth pastor. And then I went to apply to Evangel, and we just couldn't afford it. And I'm like, God, you said I was going to be youth pastor. What am I going to do? And then I'm like, okay, I can go through ISOM, and I can work with Shane. And then the senior pastor over that church just, for whatever reason, wasn't going to hire me. And I'm like, okay, God, what am I going to do? And he provided me an opportunity to go visit Life Church Leadership College. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't really want to go, but we'll go visit it. And I came, and I fell in love with it. And then this was in May, and then 2 months later I got accepted, and then 2 days before I was supposed to move up there, they found a host family for me, because it's a new college, and so we didn't have dorms ready yet, and so they had host families through the church. And 2 days before is when I found out, I'm going to live with the Rudolph family, and they're the nicest family. They invite us on vacations, and they paid for my, because I'm getting married, and they paid for the condo that we're going to use for our honeymoon and stuff like that. And she threw my bridal shower. They're the nicest family ever, and I'm just so blessed by everything God has done for me, and for the school that I'm at, and all the friends that I have, and my fiance up here, the man I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, I met because God provided this college for me, and that's how I met him, was through one of the fellow students here. And it's got the call on my life, and just the ways that God has blessed me has really just changed my life forever. And I don't know where I would be now without giving my life to Christ as a 12-year-old.